What a day. I felt like I had to come on here and say something after what we all saw today. Uh, what's now the trending topic on X, which we're going to see for the next decade. And that was Charlie Kirk being assassinated while giving, one of his talks at a university in Utah. And I mean, I've seen some stuff in my time, but never would I have imagined that a person who loved this country that much, who made it his life's work to educate the youth, educate those who are misinformed about topics that are truly evil and being pushed on our children, um, being, supported endlessly by the fake news media, um, warped mind type of scenario that's taking place across this country, and it's only getting worse. And it's heartbreaking. It's disgusting. It's something I never imagined we'd see. I mean, look, if anyone is not able to connect the dots here, that was supposed to be what happened to President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania last July. It was supposed to be Trump's head exploding in 4K on national TV. That's why CNN was there for the first time at a live rally in years. And I'm going to say it right now. I've said it before. It's all part of a disgusting, corrupt underbelly of this country and other countries working to absolutely suppress the people, to put down a movement that they cannot control and they will never be able to control. And now, those of you that don't know my background, I was, relatively disengaged from politics until Donald Trump ran. Of course, I, supported folks in local races and really wanted nothing to do with politics. As a matter of fact, politicians make me sick. I think majority of them are scumbags. And then you had a bright, young, beautiful soul, Christian father, husband, businessman, Charlie Kirk, who I personally think between him and Dana White and Elon Musk, obviously, that's how we got President Trump back in office. Charlie worked on the youth. Dana brought in the everyday folks, right? And Elon gave us a platform that we otherwise wouldn't have had. And I think because of those three individuals, you've seen some changes. I mean, when Mark Zuckerberg offered Dana White a board seat, we knew changes were coming. Freedom of speech is not the greatest, but one of the most important or greatest gifts we have in this country, which you're not seeing in many other countries, definitely not the UK. And so what was Charlie doing? Merely showing up to college campuses and other places and having conversations, always polite, always respectful. One of the smartest men I've ever met. And I had the pleasure of meeting him and knowing him, not like I would have liked to, but there was events where we were at together where I had an opportunity to meet him in a green room, especially in Florida a couple times. And to see him be taken out like that it's unthinkable. I mean, it's something that, again, they're not going to find the person. That was not some whack job, taking a shot. That was a well orchestrated precision strike. But I'll tell you this much, it's not going to do what they think it's going to do. What they have now done is ignited a movement of which they will never be able to control. And as I sat there today, like everybody else, searching for information, watching the news media, I was disgusted by the legacy media, as always. NBC should lose their broadcasting license. MSDNC, as Trump calls it, is a disgusting pile of filth. And anybody on there, when they were first trying to say maybe it was one of his supporters that was shooting a gun in support and he got hit. I mean, it just disgusting. Then you had another vile individual come on and say that when Charlie says the things he says, he should expect. We mean when he's talking about the truth and about facts. And so all day today from across the country, I've had friends reaching out from literally, I mean, worldwide, really. And I'll tell you this much: when I ran for governor, we had the warnings, the threats, people calling the office, making threats. You guys have seen it. They're, once a quarter, my billboards or office gets defaced, gets graffitied, gets sprayed on because the other side is not capable of dealing with facts because they have no argument. They have no ground to stand on. How can you possibly argue against the simplest things in biology? To see these whack jobs on there, vile, losing their minds, having no sanity whatsoever, attacking anyone physically, obviously psychologically. This is all a game. This is all being done on purpose by outside forces. And I 100% believe that Charlie Kirk was taken out because he was effective. They couldn't stop him. He alone is responsible for bringing millions under a tent, where people are welcomed, where thoughts and ideas are encouraged. And again, when they can't fight back with logic because they have none, they resort to violence. And so, as I said in my post today, they didn't stop anything. We will pick up where Charlie left off and we will carry it on. I think of the last time I saw him and met him and had a chance to talk with him and how friendly and engaging and amazing he was, to a guy. Obviously he knew about me in a neighboring state and what I was trying to do. And I was involved in some other things at that time too, that he was watching in my work with the frontline doctors. And again, I just am sick to my stomach with what is happening in this country, where people are going. You don't like what someone's saying, you don't like what this person says, so you kill them. They were so afraid of Trump getting back into office because of exactly what he's been doing, cleaning up this country that's become a absolute mess. And then you got a young 31-year-old business owner, patriot, Christian, everything I said about him, father, husband, who's just dedicated his life to bringing America back to our values, back to the principles that founded this country. But I'll tell you this much: if anybody thinks that what happened is going to send us into hiding, you were so poorly informed and just out of touch. You have no idea. We are only going to get louder and stronger. And I'll tell you what I personally think we should do. And again, I'm not advocating for violence, but these cowards that are constantly getting in people's faces and hurting people and think they're tough, these keyboard warriors, and then you go to these they go to these little parades and protests with their masks on, and there's always only one or two courageous young men or women out there with a camera trying to get information. And I just would encourage everyone who's been sitting back on the couch and playing on their phone to get in the game, get in the fight. This podcast was formed, Gloves Off with JG, because back during the pandemic, which everyone knows by now was a complete and total scam to get a bunch of people scared and so worried or frightful about their lives and their ability to live the life that they want to live, that they took an unproven, ineffective, dangerous medical modality, better known as the Fauci ouchie, which I got to be careful even saying certain things here, or they'll cut my feed like they used to. I remember going Facebook lives that were going up over 100,000 people, and then all of a sudden couldn't get more than 1,000 because they started censoring us. That's all come out. Because they couldn't censor Charlie Kirk, they killed him. And so my message tonight, and I'm not going to spend as much time as I normally do on here because I'm exhausted and I'm upset. And for many of us, this has been a dark day. To see that man take a shot like that in the neck that was probably aimed for his head or wherever. I mean, you knew at the second it hit, it was over. Anybody that's ever seen uh, a bullet on impact. And I had happened to just been preparing for a meeting that I walked into, and I came out to, literally dozens and dozens of text messages. And unfortunately, because of friends I have all over the place, I knew long before everyone else did that Charlie had passed. And it's sick and it's wrong, but what must be the message for everyone moving forward is get louder. Do not back up. Hold the line. Stand for something. And for you young people out there, anybody that sees this, as I've said, that have been just laying back, letting others fight the fight, it's time to get in the fight. And again, I'm not saying to be violent. I'm saying to start showing up and putting down this ridiculous woke mind virus movement where they tell you that men can have babies and men can become women, and Tim Walz in Minnesota's got tampons in the men's room. It's ridiculous. And we're done with it. And we're done with the violence of the left. And to the men out there that sit by when people are attacked, what is wrong with you? The cowards out there. You go and look at that poor lady, the Ukrainian escaping a war, coming to America for a chance, and no one lifted a finger. Enough is enough. And until it happens to someone you love or someone is that what you're waiting for? Because if we don't start acting together as a country and putting this down, it's going to continue to happen. And, I've got, the funny thing about everything I talked about from 2020 forward is everything's been proven true. I came on here telling you guys that the masks were nonsense and didn't work. I came on telling you that the social distancing was garbage, right? That the closures were not necessary. The kids out of school were not necessary. Why? I was traveling back and forth between Nevada and Florida where life was normal. Kids were playing sports, like nothing had happened. And out here in a blue state with that absolute degenerate Steve Sisolak as our governor, the kids were locked out of school. And we know it was all a plan. We found, we saw the teachers union. The teachers union wrote the order. They let them write it to close the schools. So everything that I ever talked about, from the early treatment medication to the ventilators, has all come out as true. It was all nonsense. And so again, I guess I cut my teeth at that time because I thought it was ridiculous. And I came out and I spoke up. And that's where this podcast came from. Gloves off was because I had had enough quickly. It didn't take me more than a couple days to realize it was total nonsense. A little playing on the Wayback Machine, and I was able to find, the treatments that they used for this exact virus that they designed. Gain of function research, and as a very, very smart doctor and friend told me, they would never design anything that they didn't have a cure for. And so they absolutely knew what would work. That's why they went crazy when Trump mentioned those certain medications. So again, back to the conspiracy theory that give it a few months, give it a year, it'll all come out. This was not a random act. I doubt, just like we've never heard who was really behind Trump's attempt. Perp walked out that they them kid looking creep and tried to say he did it when we all know that's not where that shot came from. So tonight with what we know and don't know, I'm going to say that I 100% think this was a well-financed attack, assassination, and that guy's gone. And I put that within minutes of seeing them, grab some guy again and said, that's not him. And I'll tell you something, the Democrat Party is the most corrupt, the most vile, the most confused and mentally ill group of individuals you will ever see. And they're fringe now. They're fringe. They're no one is behind their ideas. These are no longer, 60-40 issues. So these are 90% issues. 90% of this country does not think men can have babies. 90% of this country does not think men should be in women's sports or their locker rooms. And no, Gavin Newsom, okay, you absolutely vile creature. Girls that don't want to have men in their locker rooms do not have a mental health issue. The dude in the dress has the mental health issue. And so what I want to say to all the young people out there, look, their nonsense, their indoctrination, their games have now created the most conservative generation since World War II. And God bless. But it's time to act, guys. It's time to start standing up and pushing back against these ridiculous teachers and these people that are promoting these pride events and trans events and all the other garbage, and start telling them to stop, and that you're not interested. You're there to learn and not learn this garbage of who sleeps with who and what happens. Kids don't think like that. And for you parents, you mothers that think you've got a trans kid at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 12 years old, you are the problem. You're devouring mothers. You are narcissists. You have mental health issues yourselves, and you're just trying to create a little attention for yourself because that kid didn't come up with that on his own. And if it's not the parents, it's the teachers and the school system, and it's all broken and it needs to be fixed. And as Charlie Kirk would say, if you can, homeschool your kids, because this is what we're dealing with. And so, again, I see some other stuff coming. When you see California cities and counties that are blue, that Gavin Newsom has control over, masking up again inside and out, when he's got another vote coming up for redistricting, it's part of a plan to throw the state into a COVID, scare. And so they can use the mail-in ballots again and the ballot harvesting and all the nonsense to win seats in Orange County, which is red. Remember, we watched that? So Gavin Newsom's recall election took 45 minutes. But for the president of the United States and others and congressional seats, it took more than a month, just like the pathetic, performance of the Secretary of State's office here in Nevada. A month? Are you kidding me? I remember when I moved here from Chicago in the late 80s, and the vote was counted before the 10 o'clock news. Every once in a while there was something, but if you stayed up, you heard the results. Or you knew first thing at the daybreak news at 6 a.m. And now all of a sudden, with technology and with everything else, it's taken a month. It's all BS. And it's because Charlie Kirk stood on business and stood for the truth and stood as a Christian that he was assassinated. And so I really do hope that everyone is paying attention and is going to get the conviction and the courage and the commitment to get in the fight and stop allowing these absolute mindless, crazy people to push their narratives. And if you see someone getting physical with someone and you sit there, you're the problem. All right. You see someone putting hands on someone and you just sit there and you take out your phone and film. Where are my athletes at? Where are my wrestlers, my football players, my baseball guys, soccer, anybody, the jiu-jitsu guys? Where are you? What are you doing? Step up and let's put an end to this craziness, because they can't stop all of us. And, again, what would Charlie Kirk want? Charlie Kirk would want us to continue on, to pick up the torch and keep running, keep fighting. So, again, they're going to keep playing games. Whenever the Democrats lose power, they get violent. What happened in 2016? What'd they do? Okay. And then mad again because it would have been a landslide and it was a landslide and that'll all come out in 2020. What'd they do? Remember the summer? Remember the nonsense, the fires they couldn't put out here on the West Coast when they had the technology, which we're all learning, they can put them out in literally a matter of days. You guys hear me talk about crisscross applesauce and the planes. I got the tours. I saw the ground stations. I know how they work. And after they spray that stuff in the sky, they use the ground state. They can actually push the weather. They can move it wherever they want. They need rain over here, they can make it. You think those fires have to burn for 2 months? No. That was all orchestrated, planned, and done, executed by people, very bad people, that are trying to control this country and our thoughts, our freedoms, and it needs to stop. And how the hell it's still happening here in across this country with Trump in office, I don't know. I think that just shows you how big of an apparatus this government is, that the president himself can't control the things he should, and his cabinet and his administration should have control over. But make no mistake about it, what you saw today with Charlie Kirk was done on purpose. They wanted that video. That video will be replayed for the next 2 decades. And it was supposed to be Trump on repeat, his head like a watermelon. Okay. Charlie took one, and the president was supposed to take one. He's not even supposed to be there, because that's what the Democrats do when they can't control the narrative, when they can't control who's in charge. So tonight, all I would ask everybody to do is please say a prayer for Charlie's beautiful family, his 2 kids, his incredibly sweet wife, who is, I was told the family was in the crowd today and saw that. So for a second, whether you like the guy or not, whether you agreed with him or not, in this country, when you don't like what someone's saying, you don't get to physically harm them. And that's something the left doesn't understand. And I'm just telling you, the only thing they know is to meet fire with fire. And again, I hope this encourages everyone who's been voting blue, because that's what your family does. And that's what you, I hope you're waking up. I hope you're waking up and ready to never put these monsters in power again. All of them, every single one of them, running on a Democratic ticket for the Democrat Party, is absolutely no good and has no business being in any position of power, calling any shots, doing anything. I don't care what they're running for. Keep them out. Keep them out. Send a message. If you really want to fix what's happening in this country, stop voting for these people, for the love of God. They have to be cast out, never to receive a power position again. They have to be pointed and laughed at. Okay, the crazies everywhere. And again, remember during the pandemic when I was telling you that the masks were just political theater? 5 years later, you still see people wearing masks? I mean, they're retarded. That's all you can say. They've absolutely lost it. But it's never been about any type of safety. It's been about a political message. And that's another thing that needs to happen. You should not be able to wear a mask anywhere in this country, because if someone did get into one of his events, they were wearing a mask. Okay. And so that stuff needs to stop. The jig is up. Enough is enough. If you want to do, have your First Amendment right, that's great. But you shouldn't be able to be masked up and hiding. Okay. That's where I'm at right now. And I've absolutely had it with what's going on. Okay. I've absolutely had it. And so again, in a situation like this, where I'm receiving messages across the board to JG, please don't get back involved. Please, take this as a sign, whether it's my own family, but I've also got friends saying, Gilbert, get back in, because we need people that are unafraid. We need people that'll stand on truth. And no matter how uncomfortable it is, are going to stand on business and refuse to be silenced by a bunch of crazy whack jobs. The Democrat Party now stands for violence, extremism, and mental health disorders on full display. And they're teaching this stuff to your kids. Okay, the only problem is they went too far, and the younger generation, thanks to X and thanks to TikTok and thanks to social media, can see both sides, and they're done with it. So great job there. So as I have said in the past, you know, local action makes a national impact. Don't think you can't make a difference. Show up to these places and stand on business, stand for the truth. Okay, they get angry and violent because they have no argument, and their arguments hold no water. They make up words. It's their feelings, it's their emotions, and I'm sorry, but facts don't care about your feelings. They don't. All right? And it's just time to turn the page on this woke mind nonsense, okay? And stop giving these people the attention. And I'll tell you something, man. When some dude in a dress gets in your face, drop him. Simple as that, right? It's as simple as that. It's enough is enough with these people. I mean, I've had it. I don't care. You know, politically, people don't like what I say. Too effing bad. Okay? So you get your First Amendment right, but Charlie doesn't. You guys can show up and break property and physically assault people, law enforcement, and it's okay. But if a guy's talking about a topic you don't like, you're going to whack him and then celebrate it? It's insane. It's insane. And again, you look across the country, you got law enforcement. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I got guys, or gals that get, in trouble, and they get in obstructing and resisting because they didn't follow the officer's commands. And I'm watching people physically assault officers, spit on them, and how the hell they're not tagged and bagged and sitting in jail for 30 days blows my mind. You touch a law enforcement officer, you should go to jail. It's that simple. You get on there, call your supervisor. Shut up. Okay? Enough is enough. People are done. We're done with the violence. We're done with the criminals getting off scot-free and going back and reoffending. Okay? Enough is enough. And so get in the fight and do one thing tonight. Say a prayer for Charlie's family, like I was saying a second ago. Pray for Charlie Kirk's family. Pray for Charlie. And if you're a Christian out there and you watched what happened today and it didn't make you sick and enough to call you to action, then there's something wrong with you. Because this country is getting taken over by a bunch of fringe thugs. They're fringe now. They have no credibility. Everything they've ever talked about has been proven wrong. It's been thrown in their faces, and enough is enough. So I'm just going to sign off saying that it was an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to meet Charlie, to spend some time in him, to see him speak, to watch the passion and the excitement and just the opportunities he was creating for so many. Okay, to be informed, to learn, to understand that what the mainstream media and big pharma are jamming down your throats is not it. And so again, pray for Charlie, pray for his family, and if you do anything, get in the fight. Don't let this push you back. Don't let this silence anybody. It's time to get in. Okay, because I could tell you right now, despite the concerns from family and friends, it's on, baby. Like you guys don't have any idea what this did today. It's gonna unfold. Okay, it's gonna unfold, and it's not gonna be what they thought. So to every young influencer out there that's been thinking about doing something like this, getting a podcast, talking about the truth, spreading the Lord's word and messages, do it. Get on there, because we got to fight fire with fire. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone that supports, you know, what this movement stands for. And the MAGA movement, the Make America Great Again. How is that so bad? How can people associate terms with that that are anything other than wanting to see a healthy and well-run, efficient government, protected and law and order in our communities? How is that a bad thing? How is it a bad thing to want to see Americans and America be treated with dignity and respect by the rest of the world instead of being the world's piggy bank and doormat? So again, the MAGA movement today was not damaged. By no means was it damaged. It was just sent into a overdrive. Okay, the boosters are on, and it's time. It's time, guys. Stop putting up with this nonsense. Stop kowtowing to these idiots. Stop letting these people push you around or get in your face. Just stop. Just stop. So again, you know, this was an orchestrated, planned precision strike on Charlie Kirk, and it cannot be tolerated. So with that, I'm just going to say I love you guys. God bless you guys. God bless America. And it's back into the fight, man. It's on. So you wanted some, you cowards, you're going to get it. And for those of you talking smack, on my Facebook and on my Instagram, yeah, you're real tough behind your keyboard. You're real tough behind your keyboard. You'd never have the stones to say something to my face, but that's what we're dealing with as a country now. Bunch of keyboard warriors and tough guys in the comments, but you wouldn't have the audacity to say it to my face because you know what would happen. You'd be on the ground doing the bunny rabbit real quick, right? And if you hit me, that'd just piss me off. So please, guys, let's get this done. Let's end this nonsense. Woke mind virus.